What is up, Wolfpack? Today we're going to be covering one of the biggest holes in your preps. We're going to get it solved in this video. Before we get started, for those that know, we're going to be giving away not only your choice of knife, whether that's an SE4 or my new recent favorite, the Mora Bushcraft. We're also going to be giving away over $500 worth of stuff. Check the description. We're going to be walking through that at the end of this video. So the other day I walked into my garage and I noticed there was a bunch of gnats and flies all over my garage, and I wondered what was going on. I flipped on the light and I looked over at my deep freezer and it was leaking blood out of the side of the freezer. And I immediately ran over. I could smell it just putrid as I was getting closer and closer to the freezer. And I realized that we have one of those GFCI plugs on the wall in the garage, and it had tripped off. Apparently overnight, everything in the freezer had melted and it was leaking out of the freezer. Who knows how many days? I'm assuming it was one of the most recent days. And I lost maybe over $1,000 worth of both meats from Butcher Box, really high quality meats, as well as some meat from some recent hunts. And it immediately made me realize how fragile relying on refrigeration and freezing for your meat preps is. And while I did have a passive freezer thermometer, this is like a Bluetooth thermometer, my mistake was that this was passive. And I would have to check it regularly to see whether or not the temperature dropped, but I never had an active alarm, one that would immediately trigger and let me know that there's something wrong with my freezer the second it got below or above a certain temperature range. And so I immediately pick that up. I mean, it's about $30. It's such good insurance to ensure that, you know, one of your biggest investments in your overall preps is being covered. And I wanted to film this video because I didn't want my mistake to become your mistake. I didn't want you to be losing out on hundreds, if not thousands of dollars of really expensive, high quality meats just simply because of poor planning, poor preparation, which is 100% my mistake. But more importantly, imagine if this had happened during a food shortage or a food crisis. Everyone knows what's going on right now. A lot of the meat plants are getting shut down. The price of meat is rising almost every week. And imagine if this had happened in the middle of a food shortage. And so I wanted to film this video to help protect you, protect your family, to make sure that you're covered no matter what, whether your freezer is on or your freezer is off, and walk through one of your biggest holes in your preps and make sure that you're covered. And so what that is referring to when you're doing your food audit is look at your food audit, and the biggest thing to focus on, and the one that people have the biggest hole is meats and proteins. Meats and proteins, it helps you retain your muscle, which is going to be critical. You're going to be doing a lot more outdoor work. You're going to be doing a lot more yard work, a lot more gardening, a lot more physical labor during an emergency situation. And if you're just relying on carbs and fats, you're going to end up losing a lot of muscle. And so it's super critical that you have adequate amounts of protein to be able to handle yourself. And that's usually done in the form of either meats or in the form of protein powders, ideally a combination of the both. And what's even better is you want to have that meat and protein being diversified in the way that it's being stored. So you definitely want to have some frozen, but you also want to have stuff that's shelf stable. And that's the purpose for all of this, is to walk through a couple different scenarios. And then we're also going to walk through exactly how much meat you need per person per year in order to make sure that you're covered. And we're going to walk through that in today's video. So as you can see here, there's a whole variety of proteins and meats, and they're stored in different scenarios. And we're going to walk through a couple different. Everyone knows, you know, the standard canned meats. You know, don't cheap out on this. If you eat organic, I think health is your number one prep, and making sure that you're taken care of. You know, it costs a little bit more, but if you can afford it, you know, try to get the wild caught salmon, try to get the wild caught tuna, excuse me, whenever possible. Try to get those things. You know, I know it's a little more expensive, and it may take a little longer in order to get that. But if you can, you know, you want foods that, number one, you're going to be enjoying and eating even in a non-emergency situation, so that way you're constantly rotating through your supplies. But more importantly, you want to make sure that you're not just eating high sodium, high processed foods, during a situation where you're going to be needing your energy. In addition, keep the variety. Try to look into both canned chicken, canned tuna, sardines. Keep the variety high. The last thing you want to do is, when you're hungry, everything will taste amazing, but still, to keep your morale high, to keep the variety going, try to have a variety of meats and proteins. Additionally, if you're just eating tuna, there's a potential for mercury poisoning. And so you want to make sure that at least your canned meats have a variety. You can do stews, you could do chopped and diced beef. You want to make sure that your canned meats have a decent variety and that you're well taken care of there. Next thing, if you can afford it, and this is one of the best things, it's super shelf stable, is the Mountain House number 10 cans. My family, we eat a lot of ground beef, we eat a lot of ground chicken, we have a lot of variety, and so we're buying things that would incorporate into our natural meals. And so if we're doing a taco bowl, we're going to be doing ground beef, throw some taco seasoning on it. It sounds amazing. Each one of these number 10 cans creates, it creates about approximately 4 to 5 pounds of meat for each one of these cans. And they have a 25-year shelf life. So this is literally a set and forget it. It doesn't require refrigeration. It's shelf stable. Actually has a 30-year taste guarantee. If you've never tasted the Mountain House stuff, it's worth the investment. This is better than gold. This is better than cash. This is super important. You want to make sure that you have this covered. And so what my recommendation is you want to have a minimum of 20 pounds of meat per person per year. And that's at a minimum. If you can get closer to 100 pounds, that'd be even amazing. But at a minimum, you want to have at least 20 pounds of meat per person per year. And that should be a variety. It should be a little bit of freeze-dried, a little bit of canned, a little bit of frozen if possible. But you want to have that variety across the board so that way you're maintaining your nutrition in an energy efficient situation, in a survival situation. In addition to that, you also want to be thinking about protein powders. Protein powders are another shelf-stable way. They can be used as an alternative to milk. They are very calorie dense and very calorie efficient. And if you're able to have I have a few 5-pound buckets of this in my pantry that I use for coffees. I use this for cereals. It allows you to have a lot more protein than just standard powdered milk. And so this is another great way to store and keep protein ready to go for your entire your family. The one caveat is the freeze-dried food, while it's amazing, it does require a lot of water, and so you want to make sure that your water needs are also taken care of, and you also want to make sure there's a way that you have to boil water. And so I have a couple different scenarios. Obviously you could just strike a fire and have a standard outdoor wire barbecue and be boiling water outside. You could also, if you need something that's a little bit more stealth, you can use one of these little pocket stoves. It uses these small little tabs in there, and it'll help boil a pint of water. I'm also a huge fan of this. It's a collapsible mug. You can boil a decent amount of water. It also includes 2 collapsible cups inside of here, and so I use this all the time for teas and coffees when I'm at the campsite. You can see I actually have a couple of these. These are also great, little freeze-dried coffee. You can just throw them in there and makes instant coffee, makes it super easy. And so that way you can have a couple different scenarios, a couple different ways to boil the water that you can use for your freeze-dried meats and keep the meals going. And so with that, you want to make sure that that's all taken care of. You want to make sure that your meats are taken care of and that you can close that hole in your preps. In addition to that, I have a spreadsheet. I'm going to put a link in the description. It's a spreadsheet. You enter in how many adults are in your family, how many kids are in your family, and it'll actually give you a calculation of exactly how much meat, rice, beans, fats, oils, just how much food you need in your pantry to be covered, depending on if you want to cover for 3 months, 6 months. And you don't have to start with a year. I know a year is a lot for a lot of people. Start with 2 weeks. Move up to 1 month. It's kind of like growing your emergency fund. This is going to pay you back in dividends. This is going to last 30 years. It's not going to go anywhere. As long as you keep it in a nice, cool environment, you're going to have this for life. And so you spend this $50 now, it's that peace of mind that's sitting in your closet. You never have to worry about it again. All right. So I'm glad we're able to get that covered. I'm glad you're going to be taking care of your family. I'm glad that I brought that awareness to you. If if you did, we're going to be doing a giveaway. We mentioned we're going to be giving away either an SE4 or this Mora Bushcraft, which is my new recent favorite knife. It's your choice. In addition to that, we're going to be giving away $500 worth of goodies once we hit 10,000 subscribers. I'm going to put a link up top to walk through everything that's going to be included. Once we hit 10,000 subscribers, we're going to be doing that giveaway and giving it away to one awesome person. We've already given away a bunch of awesome SE knives to folks. And so the way you enter, all you have to do is subscribe and leave a comment. That's it, and you're instantly entered. In addition, you can also join for the Patreon for additional entries. But all you need to do is leave a comment and subscribe, and you're going to be instantly entered into this giveaway. In addition, if this video was helpful, give me a thumbs up. It really helps me out. It's a new channel, and so helping this boost up in the algorithm lets YouTube know, like, hey, let's share this with some other folks, and that way we can get to 10,000 subscribers sooner, so that way I can give away the awesome goodies sooner. Lastly, turn on the notifications, turn on the bell, that way you can see all the videos. So with that, I hope everyone's great. I hope this video is helpful. Looking forward to the next one. Thanks, everyone. Stay safe.